Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daily English with Buddy, the podcast where you can improve your English through simple, real-life conversations.
Yes, if you want to practice listening to natural English and feel more confident speaking English in daily life, this podcast is for you.
I'm Mac,
And I'm Carrie.
and today we are talking about something that every person experiences.
Something that can feel painful or embarrassing at first.
But later we realize it actually helped us grow.
Exactly. Today's topic is how failure can make you stronger.
Carrie, let me ask you something honestly.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you remember a moment when you failed at something important?
Oh, yes, many times actually.
That's honest.
I think everyone fails at some point in life. But the question is what we do after that failure.
That's true. Some people give up, and some people grow stronger.
Let me share a story from my school days.
I'm curious.
When I was in high school, I really wanted to be one of the top students in my class.
Ambitious.
Yes, I studied very hard for a math exam. I spent many nights preparing.
So you expected a great result.
Exactly, but when the results came out, I failed the exam.
Wow, that must have been shocking.
It was. I remember sitting in my classroom and staring at the paper thinking, how is this possible?
What did you feel at that moment?
Honestly, I felt embarrassed and disappointed. I thought maybe I wasn't smart enough. I can still picture that moment vividly. I was sitting there holding my exam paper and my heart just sank. All those hours I'd spent at my desk, studying until late at night, sacrificing time with friends. It all felt worthless.
That sounds like such a heavy moment. When we put so much effort into something and it doesn't work out, we start questioning ourselves, don't we?
Exactly. I went home that day and just lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. I kept thinking, maybe I'm just not meant to be good at math. Maybe I should give up on my dream of studying science. It felt like this one failure defined who I was as a person.
Did you consider giving up?
For a short time, yes, but then my teacher called me after class.
What did your teacher say?
He said, Carrie, failure is not proof that you're weak. Sometimes it simply shows you what you still need to learn.
That's a powerful lesson.
Yes, instead of giving up, I asked my teacher to explain the mistakes I made.
And what happened next?
I studied those mistakes carefully, practiced more, and the next exam, I passed with a very good score.
That must have felt amazing.
It did. And the interesting thing is I understood math much better because of that failure.
Your story reminds me of something that happened to me when I tried to learn a new skill.
What skill?
Public speaking.
Oh, that's something many people fear.
Yes, the first time I had to speak in front of a group of people, I was extremely nervous.
What happened?
My hands were shaking, my voice became quiet, and I forgot part of what I wanted to say.
That sounds stressful.
It was. After the presentation, I felt like I completely failed.
Did anyone say anything to you?
One of my friends came to me and said, "You know what? Your ideas were actually very good. You just need practice."
Sometimes we are harder on ourselves than other people are.
Exactly. So I decided to practice speaking more often. You know, Carrie, I need to tell you more about that first presentation. It wasn't just nervousness. I was so afraid that people would think I was stupid if I made mistakes. I actually spent 3 nights before the presentation writing and rewriting what I wanted to say.
Oh, I can relate to that. When we're so afraid of judgment, we actually make the situation more stressful for ourselves. What happened during those practice sessions?
I would practice in front of the mirror in my bedroom, but even alone, I felt nervous. I memorized everything word by word, thinking that would make me feel confident. But when I got up in front of real people, my mind just went blank.
Did it get easier?
Yes. Slowly, presentation by presentation, I became more comfortable.
So that first failure was actually the beginning of improvement.
Exactly.
Mac, why do you think failure feels so bad emotionally?
I think it's because we connect failure with our identity.
Meaning,
Instead of thinking, I failed at this task, we think I am a failure.
that's a big difference.
Yes, one is temporary, but the other feels permanent.
But in reality, failure is just an event.
Exactly. It's a moment, not a life sentence.
Let's think about something simple.
Okay,
When children learn to ride a bicycle, what happens?
they fall many times.
Exactly.
But they never say, I failed once, so I will never ride a bike again.
They simply get up and try again. Mac, let me ask you something. What do you think is the difference in mindset between people who give up after failure and those who keep going?
I think it comes down to how they interpret failure. Some people see failure as evidence that they're not capable, but others see failure as information. It tells them what to adjust or improve.
That's such an important distinction. It's like having 2 different glasses to look through. One glass shows you, I am a failure, and the other shows you, I had a learning experience.
Let's think about some everyday situations where this happens. For example, when someone is learning to cook and they burn their first meal, they don't usually think, I'll never cook again. They think, next time I'll use lower heat.
Or when someone is learning to drive and they stall the car at a traffic light. They feel embarrassed for a moment, but they don't abandon driving forever. They practice more and eventually become confident drivers.
And eventually they succeed.
You know, many successful people experienced failure before becoming famous.
That's true.
For example, many writers had their books rejected many times.
Imagine receiving rejection again and again.
It must be difficult, but persistence makes the difference.
Let me tell you about some specific examples. J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter books, was rejected by 12 different publishers before one finally said yes.
12 rejections. Can you imagine if she had given up after the first or even the 11th rejection? We wouldn't have one of the most beloved book series in the world.
And think about Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player ever. He was actually cut from his high school basketball team because the coach thought he wasn't good enough.
That's incredible. And let's not forget about Walt Disney. His first cartoon company went bankrupt, and he was once told by a newspaper editor that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas.
And Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job because they said she was unfit for television news. Now she's one of the most influential media personalities in history. This is also very important for English learners listening to our podcast.
Absolutely.
Many people are afraid to speak English because they think they will make mistakes.
But mistakes are part of learning.
Yes, if you wait until your English is perfect before speaking, you might never start. Speaking of English learning, Carrie, I want to give our listeners some very specific examples of how to apply this mindset when they're practicing English.
Great idea. Let's be really practical here. Imagine you're an English learner and you're at a coffee shop trying to order. You want to say, I'd like a medium coffee, but instead you say, I want coffee medium.
And the barista still understands what you want. You got your coffee. That's not failure. That's successful communication. The small grammar mistake doesn't matter if the message was clear.
Here's another example. You're in a meeting at work and you say, I think this idea is very good, when you meant to say, I think this is an excellent idea. Did you fail? No. You expressed your opinion clearly.
Carrie, what advice would you give to someone who's too embarrassed to speak English because they're worried about pronunciation?
I would tell them to remember that every native speaker had an accent when they learned English too. Even American children pronounce words incorrectly when they're learning. The key is to focus on being understood, not on being perfect.
And here's something interesting. When you make a mistake and someone corrects you gently, that's actually a gift. They're helping you improve. It's like having a free teacher in that moment.
Mac, I'm curious, do you think there's a difference between how children and adults handle failure?
Absolutely. Children are naturally more resilient. They try, fail, and try again without thinking too much about it. But as adults, we start worrying about what other people think. We become afraid of looking foolish.
That's so true. Children don't have the same fear of judgment. When a 2-year-old falls while learning to walk, they don't think everyone is watching me fail. They just get up and keep walking.
Exactly.
Speaking, making mistakes, and learning from them is the fastest way to improve.
Mac, I once heard a quote that I really like.
What was it?
Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success.
That's a great way to think about it.
Because every failure gives us information.
Information about what works and what doesn't.
Let's give our listeners some simple advice.
Great idea.
First, don't be too hard on yourself when you fail.
Second, try to learn something from every mistake.
And third, keep moving forward.
Remember, progress is not always a straight line.
Sometimes we move forward, sometimes we make mistakes, but we keep learning.
You know something interesting?
What?
The strongest people are not those who never fail.
They are the people who continue after failure.
Exactly.
Every failure is like a lesson.
And every lesson helps us become better.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode.
Thank you for listening to Daily English with Buddy.
If you enjoyed this episode, try listening again and repeat some of the sentences.
Practice a little every day, and your English will improve.
And remember,
Failure is not the end.
sometimes it's the first step towards success.
We'll see you in the next episode of Daily English with Buddy. Bye.
Bye!